You are listening to Life's a Vacay podcast, a weekly podcast series focusing on living a life without limitations. I'm your host, Cha Jones. Each week, I interview purposeful people about what they do and how they do it. Some have traditional professions, while others have designed unconventional careers. But what matters most is that they all are living a life where business and pleasure never separate. Each day is a vacay. So let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Life's a Vacay podcast, a weekly podcast series that focuses on living a life without limitations. I'm your host, Cha Jones, and today I have the pleasure of talking to Miss Desiree Parkman about aligning your passion and walking on purpose. Desiree has found a lifetime of joy in the arts. From her early days as a professional dancer on Broadway and kicking with Radio City Rockettes, to planning and implementing arts and cultural experiences for art organizations and corporations. She's always known that art can heal. Now she's broadening her services to include wellness experiences for those who feel that they don't have time or just who are reluctant to start. She has developed Root and Align to solve that very problem. Desiree is committed to showcasing self-care as a lifestyle, not a luxury, with yoga and movement as a tool. She seeks to help her clients get aligned and reclaim their time and power. So let's get started. Hey, Desiree, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for joining me on Life's a Vacay podcast.
I'm so happy to be here finally. Yay.
Yes, we're going to get it together. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I want to talk to you today about moving with intention. So you are a movement guru. I'm going to say that. You have been a dancer and now you do yoga. When I think about this is so bad. But no, I love it. When I think about you, I think of I don't know why Bewitch is coming up. Like you are the health conscious movement, agility. These are the words that are coming up when I think about you. Agility, spirituality. I want to get my herbs from you.
That's right. I love it. I love this way that you're presenting it because I am all those things and I feel it. And I feel like they're all connected. So even though, it sounds like, oh, there's so many things, they are all connected. And the people who work with me, they see like this is part of your life. You can do all these things.
Definitely. When I think about moving with intention, so right now I'm in the process of moving and people keep asking me where are you going? And I'm like, I don't know. And that probably sounds real crazy to people because they're like, you need to know where you're going next. And I'm just really at that place in life where I know my spirit knows and I just haven't caught on to it yet. Right.
I love it. And it can be scary when people hear because I asked you the same thing, where are you going? And you were like, I don't know, but it didn't really faze me at all because I think that in a nomadic world, that is kind of how it is. You allow your intuition and your spirit to kind of show you the route, so to speak. And then you move accordingly, and I think a lot of us have been pushed to move in certain ways and we might ignore it, so the fact that you're open and allowing spirit to work and move in that way is really beautiful. And it's a testament to your own work that you've done, that you're allowing yourself to trust that, and kind of step into the unknown, which can be an exciting place to be and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, I'm so not terrified. I've almost think to myself, I've done this enough to just be ready now.
True. Mm-hmm. You're not a novice at this. You've been in this game for a minute. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. My old head.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good, but
it's great.
So you have Root and Align, and I love how you spell root. Just like root, like
ROUTE, which is great. When you said that you're moving right now, that's really when I thought about movement, and then also your root ROOTS. It has all to do with the routes that you take in life, which can also be your choices. But yeah, we all travel from one place to the next as we journey through life and move through life. Movement is always with us regardless.
Definitely. And so, with your business, you are helping people find their route, their way, right? Get
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
pathway, but you're also helping them find their movements within themselves spiritually so that they can take root and then have spiritual awakenings
Yep.
and the life that they choose to live. And I love it. I love all of that.
It's
Like, I
so
think
beautiful. It is. And I love the way that it's nice to hear other people kind of explain like what you do. But it really is that because once you get really comfortable and in alignment with your body, it changes the game. But you don't even really know how much you've been stuck until you're really able to freely move within your own body. And not just from like a literal movement, but just moving through life. And so it really builds up a lot of confidence. And then from there, you're like, okay, I want to do this now. This is something I've always wanted to do. I backburned it, but now I feel so comfortable and confident in myself that I'm ready to take that step now. I'm ready to change directions. I'm ready to get on a new path and all of that. And it just happens when you really release and allow yourself to reconnect with your body. And I think a lot of us don't realize how disconnected that we are, like truly disconnected from our own body, where you can't really feel what's going on at any time. You don't know how to hone in on like, hey, you know what? My body feels tight today. This is what I need to do to relieve that. This is what I need to do to help myself be a little bit more mobile, a little bit more flexible.
definitely. So a lot of my viewers, for those who have never tapped into my podcast, Life's a Vacay, it's really about living on purpose, about really being intentional about what it is that you want to do, and then just doing it and being very intentional about how your life plays out. And I don't want to get stuck on the word intention because and for a lot of people, intention can be I mean, it means kind of be deliberate, right?
Yeah.
So even in being deliberate, sometimes it can kind of sway how you move. Like, because I have to be very deliberate, I have to be very intentional and
Yes.
pinpoint something. When your intent is the thought, it's like I'm putting this out there as this, then you let it go, right? That's really
Yes.
how you manifest anything in life. And so you have done things very intentionally, but then you've also just gone with the flow. And for the people who have tapped into this for the first time, we're talking about living a life on purpose, living the life that you choose to live, the one that you've designed, and being secure about that. For those people who have never listened, or for the people who have listened in the past, talk to us about how you perceive your life and how you have created a life so that you can be on vacay. And what does that mean to you?
Ooh, that's a big one. And it's also really timely because I will say this, I'm going into my 50th year. I'm going to turn 50 in March. And so I've been thinking a lot about like my life. I've been, all these things that, what am I really doing with my life? I will say this from a young age, I think I always just knew that I wanted to have a different life, even though I grew up and, I had my family and I grew up in the suburbs surrounded by all the things that the Joneses have and all this other kind of stuff. But I was always in dance the whole time. So I saw a lot outside of my own hometown. I was traveling to New York and I just knew that that's where I belonged. Like I should be in another city, pursuing my dreams to be a dancer. And so I think that was the first leap. It just always was. Like I always knew I was gonna try to get out of my small town. So I think it just takes a lot of gumption and confidence. You really have to have faith in yourself and like what your thing is. Like what is your talent? What is the thing that you're trying to change your life and impact other people's lives with? And I think this can be learned, but I also feel like innately it's something that's inside of you. So it's not for everybody. I think that I always wanted to be a nomad. I always wanted to kind of live different places and meet different people. And so it's a lot of education too. So anytime you feel like you're trying to do something different and create your own blueprint, you need to try to align yourself with like maybe someone else that might have done it. Or if not, you need to research and find out. Now, long time ago, we didn't have Google and all these other kind of things to go and research. So, you get on the phone or you look in the yellow pages and you're like, oh, okay, like I want to be on TV. How do I be on TV? Or I want to be in this company. How do I do it? And you just, lucky that a nice person answers on the phone and maybe they give you like a couple of things like information for you to go on. So I would say that you need to kind of like research what it is that you're doing and really be educated about the steps that you're going to take, because there's really no blueprint and you're really like walking on glass a little bit. But for me, it felt amazing to be able to say like that I left this one place and I ended up in New York on scholarship at Alvin Ailey. I created these things, I made these things happen. I called this person. I asked if I could do this. All of those things are like really empowering. And what I find is that the minute that you kind of step out there, I was very supported by a village, like out of nowhere. I didn't really have a mentor or someone that was like, hey, Desiree, this is exactly the steps that you need to take to make it to Broadway or to do whatever. I didn't really have that. But then all of a sudden I had like a dance mom that kind of was able to help navigate me through that area. And, I think with the training of being an artist and how dedicated and driven you have to have a thick skin. I think all of those things just really prepared me for living the life that I want to live. And even though I was parallel on the other side of like, maybe I, just kind of do something that's going to be a little bit more secure for me. It just never really felt like that's for me. Like I always felt that I could put myself out there and do big projects and that I would be taken care of, So I've always really trusted in the universe. Now, is it always like, glossy and gravy? No, but in those moments, you still have to have faith that it's going to come back around, if that makes sense, So there's like a little bit of uncertainty, like you said, you're going to move, but you're not really sure where. Sometimes you just have to ride in that uncertainty, but you still know what your goal is. The goal is to like move somewhere else, or the goal is for me to be in production or whatever. And I just kind of rinse and repeat. And I like evaluate and see like, okay, how did that work out? How did that work out? And then just, replay it again, That it's different for everybody too. So there's no real secret sauce, but it is a way to kind of like move through. And when I think about like intention and manifesting and all that, it's always like, yes, a little seed, but then that seed needs to be watered and then there needs to be action behind it, So that's kind of how it is. Like I can't plant, some tomato seeds and then just walk away and think I'm going to have tomatoes in 6 months, right? It's not happening. Even if I sit here and be like, I want these tomatoes I want them to, they won't. They need water, they need sun, they need different things, right? And so that's just what we have to continue to do for ourselves and our dreams and our passions and all that.
Definitely. I love that. So define your life as a vacay, because you talked about some of the things that you've done.
I've been able to be on Broadway.
You've been on Broadway.
Do all of those, like Radio City Music Hall. I was one of the few Black Rockettes.
You've done Disney. All these different things, but now on the brink of about to be a quarter of a century, yes. Then how would you define your life now, and how have you made it so that you can live life where you blur the lines between work and play?
I don't think I've ever had any kind of problem with work and play balance. I think that's why I'm chosen to be in the field that I'm in right now, because I really am the example of this. I'm very balanced. Like I'm just not gonna overwork myself. Let's see, my life as a vacay. I always say like self-care is a lifestyle. And so I want to create a life where every day there is this is what I'm doing. Everything is all around it, whether I'm walking in the park, appreciating the nature, or, just like exploring new neighborhoods or having lunch with a friend, going to take yoga, so I'm just trying to do things that I enjoy. And there was something that you said a little bit, when we talked about the word intention. Sometimes we get so in on that word that it makes it seem like it has to be a certain way. And so I think for me, building my lifestyle this way is all about doing the things that I love, and that's self-care. So when I have clients that are like, one of the things that keeps them from actually participating in their own self-care is because they think that it has to be a certain way. They have to dress a certain way. It has to go a certain like amount of time. No, it's like, if you like knitting, go knit more, do that more. You want to go paint more, do more painting, make a, like, I just got off the phone with a client and she's making these like, she's painting her own like Christmas cards. And I said, how many did you send out? She said like 20. I said, okay, well, we're going to do this again for February. And this is your thing, because she wanted to tap more into her creativity. And sometimes the things that we're creative with can actually make you some money. So like when you think about it, what would you rather be doing? Like, so for me, I would rather teach a bunch of dance classes and make my money, or rather than go do something else that I don't even really care about or don't have passion for. So, that's kind of how, that's the beginning of it. And then I think I like variety. So I'm just really constantly assessing my life and seeing like, what can I add? And I'm totally in this spot right now. Like just when you're saying, like, I'm definitely reevaluating my life. And to be honest and totally transparent, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what does this look like? And I think right now I'm in this moment of, I really want to celebrate my own joy and my own accomplishments. But at the same time, there's that little voice in the background that's saying like, girl, who do you think you are? How are you going to be like celebrating these things? You don't have a home. You're like traveling all around, you don't have the things. But what I do have is freedom. I have joy that I get a chance to meet all these really wonderful people on my travels and connecting with different cultures. And those things that maybe people are speaking of, I don't want them. So why am I tripping? So a lot of this is like ongoing. It's an ongoing thing of falling in love with your life and yourself. And how can I do more of that? Let's focus on that. Because when things go wrong, you're going to talk about it. When you don't feel good and stuff, you're going to be like, oh man, this just really, I'm not feeling great. But how often do we really put that much passion into like, you know what, this year I said I was going to move to like a place in Mexico, and here I am, I'm in Mexico, I'm doing this and this and that, like sometimes we don't toot our own horn enough, and we need to, so the answer to that question is like, it's just ongoing. And it goes back to what I said about kind of just trusting the universe, knowing what my skill set is, what is it that I have to share, and just driving forward on that. And sometimes it's a whole lot of nothing. Sometimes my life is not, it wouldn't be a vacation, but it's a vacation for me, like not having to, if I can stay home for a few days, if I get a chance to like just do my own thing. Like on Mondays is me Mondays. So I spend time just doing my own stuff, and I feel like everybody should have a day where it's just for you. And on that day, you do whatever you want, So I just keep, I keep it moving. I keep it changing. And I just really try to stay connected to what my own purpose is and what it is. And I've always been about movement. And I've always been about showing people how they can connect to movement in a really great way. So maybe 20 years ago, it was all about, technique, and you need to straighten your knees and do 10 turns and have really all this extension. Now it's about just really being able to see yourself from the inside and feeling the pathways of how your body moves, and, really feeling comfortable in your own temple and space, because this is the longest relationship that you'll have, with your body. And so how can we continue to get to know it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm still getting to know myself and the life.
That's amazing. And I think that you have to continue to get to know you. Like, I'm not the same person who arrived in Merida, Mexico. It's going on 2 years. So, year and, however long ago it was. But as you move, you have to re-identify with who you are, where you are, and where you want to go and what you want to do. And I think being intentional and thinking through things, you don't have to have a definite plan to do that. You just have to have a clear understanding that it's time to move. It's time to do something.
Exactly.
And I tell people all the time, take one step and the next step will reveal itself. And then you take the next step and it will reveal itself. And that's how you consider yourself walking or running or whatever, moving.
Yeah, exactly.
And so on your journey, what has really, I guess, awaken your spirit? And because now that you are turning 50, if we reflect for a moment, like, what's the lesson in all this? Like, for you, what have you learned through this process of moving and re-identifying yourself?
I think really what's coming up for me is really like that I know that I'm okay, and that I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be. And even though maybe it had been rocky sometimes, like it I always win, like in the sense, like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And it's been validating to me in these last like couple of months when I've really been thinking about it, because I've been thinking about my joys and my accomplishments. And so much of those things are around the work that I do and around movement. Just this last weekend, I had a production here in Mexico, and theater is a ritual in itself. And so when I see the kids like, helping each other with their makeup and their hair and everybody's praying and, there's just a lot. And it's the same. I could have been anywhere. I could have been in New York. I could have been in Georgia, and those things would have still been happening. And it's such a community. So I think I just feel like I'm right on time. I feel like I'm right on time, and that I am very much shedding and standing in my real authentic truth unapologetically. Like that's where I am. And also, like, this year I had a word. My word was implementation, because I really felt that I needed to be like, really more focused and mindful about the things that I'm implementing, because a lot of things are in theory and you're like, I'm gonna take another workshop and learn this. Well, no, you need to go and implement some things. This year, what I felt my word would be was refinement, because I feel like a lot of things that I've done just by touch, sight alone. And now, like any good artist, you're going to refine it. If you write, you're going to rewrite, all of it, there's always some kind of refinement that happens. So this year is going to be all about refinement as I head and go into the 50s. And I feel like it's perfect. But if anything, I definitely feel like I'm on time. That's what I've learned, like through all of this, like everything that I've done in my life, it's put me where I am now. I've always been like into the holistic healing vibe. Movement is religion, it's sanctuary, it's medicine, so this is what my evolution has been since I was 3 years old, because that's when I started dancing. So now here I am, and it's still part of my life, So I tell my mom, I'm
Yeah.
like, you did a good thing putting me in dance school. It was for her, it was just like daycare because she was working. And she had no idea it was going to turn into this whole thing. But now I really, really do see this is where I'm supposed to be.
Absolutely. I love it. But reflection is good. It's good to be able to reflect, to see how you've evolved, see the things that you still want to change, and how you're going to continue to move forward. And
Yeah.
so now you mentioned that your mom put you in dance, and this is, the thing that has really been the catalyst to help you move, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets?
No, I thought about this. I've been thinking about that too. I don't really have any regrets. I don't believe in regrets per se, because I feel like, you make a choice and then the choice takes you where you're going to be. And even, no, I don't, because I know that if I had made those other choices, I mean, I don't know what would happen. That's just like an alternative ending. So I could say that I would make another choice, but that's not the choice. I made the choice that made me happy. So if I made that other choice, then I might have regret then. Like if I had gone on the path, something else, then that's probably when I would have had regret. I feel regret comes in when you actually don't do the things that you really want to do. And I've done them. I've done the things that I want to do. Not many people can say that they like really reach their childhood dream, because it changes. Remember when you're young, people are like, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? You can be anything you want until you decide to be that thing. And then people maybe try to change your mind. Like nobody is like rooting for their child to be like an artist per se, right? That's not really like, I want you to be a painter and struggle for your life, or I want you to have to audition for a living. No, they want you to do more practical things like, doctor, engineer, those kinds. So, when you kind of like break away from those things, it's a little different, and I think that it can create some stress. But if that's really what you're supposed to do, that you don't really feel that stress in that same way, like you're not as fearful because you know that this is for you. So
Definitely. So I saw this on a friend's page of mine. It's a quote. It says, if I would change anything, it would have changed everything. And to me, when I saw that, I was like, yes, that's
it's
it.
true. Yeah.
Because literally, and I think about this when I have a 3-year-old son. I think about
Mhm.
like some of the heartaches and trials I go through with his father. And I'm like, if I could only have changed his father. However, if I change his father, I change him. And then
That's
what do
right.
I have? Like, I like this
Mhm.
person, right? And I was intentional about this individual who I'm sharing my life with. And so if we change anything, we change everything. And you don't let's it's the minute, the smallest thing, like not giving that lady a tip,
Yeah,
or walking past a person that may have, harmed you or what have you. It's those things that we don't even think about. That's just like in the background and like background noise to our life. Those things ultimately, the little things can change everything. And
it's
so
true.
I've
Yep.
learned to live with the good, the bad, and they're all here to teach us. The
It
things
is,
that
and if you can find that, the lesson in those things, then it's not going to happen in the moment. I mean, some of these things, we think about it later and then it makes sense like why it happened, and I've watched enough sci-fi and time travel stuff to know that, we see all these alternate endings, but at the end of the day, it's always the original one that was the one. Because that was your first choice. That's what you wanted to do. Like a lot of people will say, "Oh, what's your plan B?" Well, I never had a plan B because I didn't think plan A was going to fail, So
yes,
I'm not setting myself up for some other thing when I already know that this is going to happen. And if it doesn't happen exactly the way that I planned it, it's still going to be that, but probably better or more or bigger because, we can't really fathom the greatness that could happen to us in our own mind, but the universe is limitless, So we could be served in any kind of way. We don't know. So plan B,
definitely.
okay. When I need a plan B, then I'll be prepared to have a plan B, but I don't need to, like I just don't, I never really fell into that. Like you need to have a plan B. Go put all your effort into your plan A.
Right. I'm a
Mhm.
strong believer of that. And I feel like, whatever's going to happen, God's going to take care of me. And if something goes left, God's going to take care of me. And so at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it still comes back to the same thing. I'm going to be taken care of. So
Hmm.
whatever step I choose to make, there are no wrong steps. Like you're
Yeah.
creating this, like every day that you wake up, you create your own life. You
You have
create
your own,
the
you
good, the
do.
bad, and the ugly.
And that's what we're meant to be here. And so when you ask questions like, like how do you make your life a vacation or whatever, listen, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. For me personally, we were put here to explore, to find out about ourselves, and about the world around us and other people. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm finding a way to make those things happen. And just like how we were created, we also have the ability to create. That's what we're put here to do, to make stuff, make
Right.
things,
And if it goes left, change, go right. You
just
have
change.
a whole nother
That's the
direction you can
beautiful
go
thing. As
into.
long as you're living, you have the opportunity to make some changes, And I think that's really the important lesson, is to be open, Like that's one of the questions that I've been asking people this month is like thinking about how you show up for things. How do you show up for yourself? And are you open? Like, are you open to the things that are trying to come at you? Because sometimes you're like this and you don't even see or you can't feel the things that are trying to penetrate you and to make your life better, to uplift you or whatever, because you're not really in align. You're not in alignment,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so
Yeah.
that's where I come in to help you kind of get back on a line so that you can be open, show up for yourself and have more joy, accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, whatever, flow through your life.
So talk to us a little bit about that, a little bit more about how has intention opened up your life to ways that you wouldn't even imagine, the things that just kind of appeared in your life that you wasn't even thinking about.
I think that, I always kind of start with this overarching like theme, and I just go with that. So, I mean, I don't even think about like every day intentionally, but just period. I'm looking to connect with spiritually aligned people, people that are open, people that want to move, people that, want to create experiences in community. It's all there, like that's it's radiating from my whole being that I'm going to be connecting with these people. And that's what happens. So even moving through Mexico, I've met these people. I came to Merida. I met you. I was able to meet a really great group of women just in that weekend that I was there, So I believe in that, and once I put it down, that's it. I think I affirm, I do a lot of affirmations and mantras, but I don't need to constantly write them down or anything. They're already running through my whole body, what it is. And if you come in my circle and see me, you'll see it too because how they say game recognizes game. Well, like-minded, and we all see each other, and that I think is the most beautiful thing because I feel protected, Like we still have to make sure we got to watch our back no matter what. But I definitely feel like my steps are protected, and that the people that I'm for, they're going to find me, and vice versa. Like I will find you whenever I go, wherever I go, I'm going to find my tribe. And movement is a part of that, because wherever I go, I'm going to find the dance studio. I'm going to find where the dance community is. And that is going to pretty much always be my first point of entry, is some kind of movement or like theatrical experience, because that's what I know. And that's universal. Everywhere you go, a tendu is a tendu, is a plie is a plie, is a pirouette is a pirouette. It's all that. And so even with the language barrier, you're still able to feel like you're a part of something.
Okay. So I have a lot of people who are on the fence about what it is that they want to do. They really can't make a choice, make a decision. It's hard. And you definitely couldn't be in my shoes. Like when I think about a couple weeks ago, I didn't quite know where I wanted to go, but I've never been uneasy about it. I haven't been like, oh, what am I going to do? I think I've done this enough to know that even when I do have a destination plan, right, and I'm moving towards that destination, anything can happen, right? Oftentimes it just all works out. And that's the reason why I know it'll all work out. And I don't have to have the actual location, because I'm looking for something to find me.
Yes.
And I want us to meet and know each other for the very first time. I got that from one of my phones. And so when I think about that, and I think about how you're moving through life, talk to the people who are on the fence about like making a decision. How do you advise, or even for you, how do you make decisions when it just seems like, how am I doing this? Because there are a lot of people who are still in America or wherever they are, and they want to go somewhere. They see other people doing this thing, and they want to have this fabulous life, but they don't know how.
So I work with this a lot, because like I told you, once you kind of get into your body, you start having a lot of things come up. And so then like, now what? So you have like, there's two types. One's on the fence and the other one's going to jump. So if you're on the fence, I think that it becomes this like, a detrimental situation where like, what if you stay, what happens 5 years from now, if you're still in wherever you live doing the same thing, how do you think you're going to feel? And if you weigh that against this unknown thing that you're talking about, how does that make you feel? Also, I really try to present to them that it is more accessible than they may be thinking. So, a lot, when you haven't experienced it, you can make up a lot of things in your mind about like what it is, what I need to have this, I need to have that. You don't really need a lot to make the move and to change course and to do something different. Now, yes, you need to have some things in order, like you're working and how you're going to, finance your lifestyle while you're away, but you've already done it. If you've been financing your lifestyle in the United States, however that has been, and maybe it's been a struggle or whatever, then it's probably going to be a little bit easier for you if you can work out a few things as far as like how you're working and things like that. But a lot of the things that we're afraid of, there's in our mind and self-inflicted. And if you actually put that against people that are doing it, those things didn't even really come into play. So I still feel like at the end of the day, you have got to bet on yourself, and you have to take chances. You have to take risks, because it's pushing you out of your comfort zone. Anything that is like a huge undertaking or a project or something that is like big thoughts, they're going to take gumption. Otherwise everybody would be doing it. Everybody would be doing it. If it was that easy to just be like, all right, see you, I'm gone. Or bye, mom, I'm leaving home to go chase my dreams on Broadway. Oh, bye, I'm going to just, I want to be an oceanographer. Like, whatever. Like, do you know any oceanographers? I don't. So like, you know what I'm saying? Or even somebody that's like, I want to be an astronaut. That is something, you have to have a lot of balls, gumption, confidence to be jumping into some different things. But you just got to know you're okay. So there's really, all I could do is pump you up, build you with confidence, give you some tools and resources that are going to help you to ease into this life. But ultimately, it's going to come down on you. And can you bet on yourself? Do you believe enough in yourself to take this chance and know that you're going to be supported? So that's it. You got to take a chance on yourself and know like time is moving anyway. So move with it. Move with it.
Move with, and that's a great place to end. We can talk about this forever because,
Yeah.
movement is essential to your spirit, it's essential to your mind, it's essential to your body, but it's also essential if you plan on getting from one place to the next place. It's essential that you take a step and
Yeah.
move in,
Hmm.
and I don't even like saying in the right direction, because the right direction is really defined by you.
Yeah.
What you're willing to do, what you're willing to let go of, what you're willing to receive, what you're willing to accept. All of those things come in play when you make the right decision for yourself. So,
Yeah, and then just taking the step. And so if anybody out there is looking for more movement in their life, or help with like making some of these decisions, hit me up. I have like a Discover You call, and that kind of introduces you into my world. And yeah, we can get on the mat and do a little yoga and some stretching and clear out some things.
definitely. Now tell people how they can reach you.
I am at Root and Align everywhere. So it's ROUTE and align.com, or on Instagram, Facebook, all of those things. And you can find all my links there. Hit me up for a Discover call or book a session, do some yoga. I have retreats every year. So everything is there. And I just like to think of myself as like a 360 type of place. So it's like what you need. I'm trying to meet you where you're at. So maybe it's movement, maybe it's a little bit of like confidence and life coaching to bring you into a different direction. Maybe you need a break and you need to come for a retreat. So you can come here to Mexico. We do them as a group or even one-on-one. So if you want to come for the weekend, we would do like a whole weekend of like yoga and movement, maybe some yoni steaming, maybe it's a mezcal, cacao ceremony, like just whatever it is that you need to get yourself in alignment and to open you up, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do. You can feel when your body is tight, how it's really has a lot of tension and you're like this. And then when you let everything release, you're like, oh man, it feels so good. You want to feel like that all the time, because that's where your true power is, when you're able to be open, to let things come in that give you downloads and ideas about what it really is to be doing. A lot of times it's not that you don't know what your passion or purpose is. It's just that you have a lot of stress and tension that you haven't been able to like excavation, like you got to kind of do that on yourself. Just like a anthropologist is like sweeping away, trying to find the old remnants and things. You got to do that for yourself and clear out those cobwebs and just open up. So yeah.
Yes, definitely. I love that. Thank you again for speaking with me today. It's been such a
Thank
pleasure.
you for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I'm wishing everybody, happy holiday seasons and everything that's coming up.
Great. Thank you so
Or
much
pass, because I don't
again.
know when this will show. So pass.
Whenever it
Yeah,
was.
right. And keep moving. Listen, even if you just take a walk or 5 minutes, touch your toes or whatever, keep moving. Make movement a part of your life.
Definitely. Well, I'm your host, Cha Jones. If you like this show, please subscribe, share, and donate. Help keep it going. Until next time, remember, always find time to live and express your freedom. Peace.
I love it. Peace.
You have been listening to Life's a Vacay podcast. Thank you for tuning in today. Every day you have a choice, so choose yourself and never allow your circumstances to dictate the life you live. Whatever you don't like, you can change. Remember, nothing happens overnight, but know that when you set goals and take inspired action, whatever you desire can come in perfect timing. Never give up on creating the life you deserve. Don't anticipate your next vacation when you could be living a whole life on vacation. Until next time, I'm your host, Cha Jones. Please remember to like and share this podcast so that others can be inspired. Peace.